First of all, thank you, Daniel, for actually being a wonderful host and having us here and taking us around. We spent the last 2 days with you, and we had some really great experience. Uh, Tell us a bit about yourself. You studied engineering. Then we also see you as a musician, right? You We can call you an entrepreneur as well because you help your wife Ruhi, and now a politician. What are you?
I'm all of this, man, and maybe even more. So, but see, above all, as cliched as it may sound, I'm a human being. And these are all just uh, different phases of my life brought me different experiences. And so I had to take on different roles. And I'm all of this. I don't let myself be defined by one particular role. And obviously, I don't define myself with a career, which we tend to do, like, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm a so and so, So I don't think I'd like to define myself as a politician, which might be what most people know me as currently. I'm all of this. I'm a human being at the end of the day. I think a human being is the best way to describe myself. Yeah.
Interesting. Tell us a bit about your earlier background as a student. You must have spent a lot of time in this town. So, do you have some sort of a love affair with this town?
Yes, love, and then in between there was a hate thing, and then again fell back in love quite hard. But I think that's how the best love stories are. It's just not one smooth curve. Like there are ups and downs. So Haflong, what can I say, man? By the way, Nishal, welcome back to Haflong.
Thank
You
you.
also studied here, and we were in the same school, right? Don Bosco,
Right.
Haflong, Bosconian forever.
For sure.
So my school life, I was actually a very studious student. I was a teacher's pet because, like, you know how teachers are, right? They always like the boys or girls who always come first in exams. I was very competitive actually from a very young age, and I'm the eldest among three siblings. So I remember, I mean, like when you're in kindergarten, you don't really know, right? But then when you reach class 2, 3, I think there is the time when you got to know and realize ki, you have ranks and all that. And then I started doing really good, and I kind of got obsessed with it. Like I have to be among the top ranked students. And I did pretty well throughout my school days. I used to come rank first, and a couple of times when I did not. I used to be so mad at myself, and I was like, next exam I have to come first. Now that I look back, it was quite silly because I don't really believe in grades and all this ranking. I think we should stop having all these ranks, and in school at least. So yeah, that's a simple childhood. I was always coming first in school. So pretty naturally, I was made to choose either engineering or medical once I got into college, and then I chose engineering, and then but I never got to become an engineer.
That is where my next question comes, Daniel. Very interesting, right? Because I think it could be quite aspirational for a lot of uh, students who are in their 12th studying science, for them to crack one of the toughest exam, which is engineering. You crack that, you landed a seat for yourself, you finished your engineering, but then you ended up doing you have been doing a lot of other stuff as well in between, and now the shoes that you are in, it's completely different than what you would have studied, right? Is this something that you had planned or even had even in the wildest imagination, that this is where your engineering college would take you to some at some point of time?
No, not at all, not at all. So when I got into engineering, I thought that's it. My future path is sorted, I would become an engineer. But of course, I was also interested in MBA, not because maybe I was truly interested, but that is what most engineers would do after completing their engineering. So my plan was sorted. I finish engineering, get an MBA, and I don't know do what, but just follow what fellow engineers are doing. But never in my wildest dream at the time I could have thought that I would land up where I am today and go through all the different experiences. But of course, one thing led to the other. And when I was in engineering college, at the same time, I got interested into music more and more. Music was always a part of my life because both my parents were into music. And if you are from Haflong, anyone, right?
For
Music
sure, yeah.
runs in the blood of Haflongites. So, and in school, I used to see my seniors, they used to have this band. My good friend Dao, his elder brothers like Jivraj Da and Nanuda. So they used to have this huge collection of rock bands, cassettes at that time. And so everyone was into music here. There was this huge culture of having bands and playing in beat contests. So it was always there. And then it picked up. And when I was in engineering college, that is when I formed a band in Guwahati because I wanted to play in those beat contests happening in IIT Guwahati, Elcharinga, and even my college, which was Assam Engineering College, AEC. Pyrokinesis was our annual fest. So these things were happening. But then I took this path because of a very different reason later on.
Would love to get more, go more deep into that in the later stage. Tell us a little bit about your love affair with this town. You say that you just mentioned that this is town that you are deeply in love with, but at some point of time you hated this place, and now you come back and doing so much for this place. Tell us a little bit about that journey, about that whole curve.
See, when I think of my childhood here, I wouldn't want to change even a single bit of how I spent my childhood here. Like the Haflong which I grew up. Like I told you, I fell in love again, and I'm still in love with my place. But I still feel I cannot maybe get that feeling back which I had when I was child here. That was of a different vibe. Because obviously Haflong was also very different back then. uh, like in the evening you go out, you stay anywhere, you don't need to be afraid of anything. Everyone was so united. uh, we call this mini India in a way because there's so many different communities living here, and you don't feel the difference. Everyone is connected by Haflong Hindi, which is our famous Haflong Hindi, pura tuta futa Hindi. For example, instead of saying कि हम मुझे वहाँ छोड़ दो, we would say कि हमको उधर गिराई दो. So crazy. And if you look back at the history of Haflong, that is also unique because Haflong is the only hill station in the whole of Assam. And the British built these railways here like more than 100 years ago. And it always had this very cosmopolitan culture, if I may say so. That was amazing. And Haflong is beautiful. There's a lake in the middle of the town. And when we grew up, there was music culture going on side by side and sports. Everyone was playing football or cricket in the daytime. Now you don't get to see a lot of that, but gully gully mein hota tha, all these things. And the whole overall vibe, like people were so united and irrespective of religion and tribe or community. And that was great. And the curve which I'm talking about, the period when I hated Haflong for some time, is actually very personal. And it's Haflong did nothing actually. It was just what happened to us. My father, my late father, Nindu Langthasa, he was assassinated in the year 2007. And at the time, I was an engineering student. I was studying in AEC in Guwahati, and that came as a shock to us. My father was a loved person. Even today, I get much of the respect because of him. If I go everywhere, there are people who are so connected to my father, not just because he was a leader, but as a human being, he was just friends with everyone. So, and you never expect something like this to happen to someone who, of course, as a father, like obviously, I love him, we love him, but everyone used to love him. You don't expect something like this to happen out of the blue. It was a shock to all of us. And when you are faced with that shock, you obviously, there was anger inside of me, and that anger had to be directed at someone or something. So at that point of time, I was also young, and my anger just went to this whole place. I felt that this place betrayed my father, because my father gave so much to this place. And when I say this place, it means this place, the people, everything connected to this place. So I think all of them betrayed my father, who was just giving his all to them. And so for a couple of years, I just did not want to come here, and I did not come here also. And when I used to come here because of some maybe reasons, family reasons or something which I could not avoid, I used to come, but with a very heavy heart.
How old were you at that point of
I
time,
was
Daniel?
I was 23. I was
So
23.
a 23-year-old
Not so
boy.
young, but the thing is, um, uh, just after college, I had gone to Guwahati and I was studying. And when this thing happened, so I mean, like, however old you are, you're not prepared for this kind of thing. And you're just getting ready for the world. And I had my idea of this world. Uh, you do good things happen to you, and justice is there in this world, so it makes you behave in a certain way. But then when you see all these things get tossed out of the window, and anything goes in this world, and you need time to adjust to the reality, the harsh reality of how this world exists. So my anger naturally went to Haflong. When I say Haflong, it means the place, like I'm repeating, the people, everyone. So it took some time for me to get over that.
What how does a 20, 22, 23? That's what that's that's how old you were at that point of time, you said, right?
Yeah.
Were you in your engineering at that point of time?
Yes, I
If
was.
you had finished
I was
engineering?
no, I was in the final year of my engineering, and that is why it had an effect, because I did not give my exams that year. Back lag gaya uske baad mein, and then I was not motivated at all to attend classes.
So how does a young boy like that, who is who has so much of aspiration, maybe a lot of ambition as well, and just getting ready for the world, and something like this happens, what does a boy like that do to vent out his anger, to really cope up with a situation like that?
See, I have no answers to that, because people I know face similar situations, and some people may have faced, I mean, like, even bigger things than that, more bigger tragedies than what I have faced. So I don't want to come out here and give any kind of advice or how I dealt with it, but I can just tell about my personal experience. I mean, I think one of the things which truly, I mean, like, I'm being honest here, like, I think what helped me was, uh, even at that age, I was not really into alcohol at that time. I mean, like, I do drink a couple of drinks here and then, but I was not really into alcohol. Because why I'm saying this, because if I was, then maybe I would have really gone into that space, because most people do. When a tragedy strikes them, they either get into alcohol or drugs or any kind of addiction. So I think because I did not get into that, so my anger could be controlled, because anger and alcohol, what will happen. So I think this is what kind of controlled me. And so I channelized my anger in a different direction. And this is where again music came in. So like I told you, I was always into music, but that was more like okay, I listen to music, I like playing the guitar and all that. But that is when music became an outlet, because I remember I was in Guwahati, and Guwahati is hot, uh, Haflong, very different from Haflong. And so we bought a 10,000 rupees का AC, विशाल मार्केट में डिस्काउंट में मिला था, अभी भी याद है, स्मॉल AC. एंड देन वो AC ऑन करके एक छोटा सा रूम था, वहाँ में हम अंदर में बैठ के आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड jamming, and I had my good friends there with me as well. So I just started playing music and writing songs. That is the first time when I started to write songs. And that is where I vented out whatever I had, whatever I was feeling, I put it out there. So I think music helped me at that point of time. Otherwise, I don't know how it would have been.
Is that the same time when you had a band called, I think, the Digital Suicide?
Yes.
So is that
Yes.
how the band started?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that band? Because I remember you travel uh, to quite a few cities and perform,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
I think there were a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
musical
yeah.
magazines also that had covered this band. So
Like I told you, like I was always into music, so it was not the first band which I was a part of. Even back in school in Haflong with my good friend, he's a doctor now, Dr. David Haulai. We had formed a band. He had started it, and then I joined in, called Ahimsa. And so yeah, with Ahimsa also we played a couple of like small shows, hometown shows, and beat contests and all that. But then later on I studied engineering. David started studying medicine. So we parted ways, and anyways we never looked at music as a full-time thing. But after 2007 when my father passed away, after that 2008 was when I formed Digital Suicide in Guwahati. So I had my good friend Deepak Bora, who is also from Haflong. He used to study in boys' high school. We knew each other, and then we found a drummer in Guwahati. His name was Ratan Bordoloi, and then we just jammed and jammed like anything. And Digital Suicide was a band which I started. I came up with the name too, and then we started writing our own songs. And fortunately, or I don't know, luckily, we did well because people liked what we were doing. Because none of us are trained musicians. I sang and I used to play the guitar. We were a three-piece, and we used to play heavy punk and rage-filled kind of soundscape that we used to create.
what was the lyrics like? Was it about all the thing that you were going through because you just had a very bad
Yes.
family
Yes.
tragedy, so
One of the first song which I wrote was about terrorism, and then I wrote songs about the socio-political atmosphere of Assam at the time. Because while the tragedy happened with my father in 2007, I remember in 2008 we formed the band, and one day we were jamming in Guwahati in our jam pad. In the evening, we hear there's a bomb blast in Ganeshguri, and that happened in 2008, under the flyover. And that was a place where in the evening after our jam sessions we used to go there and drink tea. And I was like, for a moment I was like, because I used to think, like I told you, right, I started hating my place because I saw terrorism happening here, and I thought, okay, this took my father away. But then I was in the city, and most of the people left Haflong at that time and went to other places because they wanted safer place. And then when I saw terrorism coming right in the heart of Guwahati, then my perspective changed again. And then I saw, okay, oh no, it's not about a place. It can happen anywhere. So I started reading more and trying to understand more about the socio political dynamics of Assam, and not just Assam, like what is happening in the world basically. And that shaped my music, and all my songs and writings were mostly centered around issues that we as humans have been facing because of division and, yeah, politics, you can say.
Then there was this phase when you had this whole new avatar called Mr. India,
Mr.
right?
India.
Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that, because I remember seeing some of those content when I was in Bangalore, and it was quite hilarious. But at the same time, there's a lot of, though there was humor, but there was, like, there was that serious side of it. I think there was a lot of underlayers that I think you were trying to explain. You were trying to, maybe keep people informed. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that whole journey of Mr. India?
See, Mr. India was an extension of what I was doing musically with Digital Suicide. But I mean, it was not a quick transition from Digital Suicide to Mr. India, because Digital Suicide was quite active from 2009 till 2014, till I got married, you know. But Digital Suicide was based in Guwahati. And like I told you, after we started performing, it did well. And thanks to Digital Suicide, I actually got to experience this world more, because I got to travel. We traveled to almost every major city in India with my band, and all over through Northeast, and got to meet amazing people. And I'm very thankful for that phase of my life. It brought out the positivity of human nature, because music is a different vibe. It connects people. So played in amazing festivals, and the independent music scene in India was just rising up. So I actually thought that this is doable, and I can be a full-time musician
Musician.
without being in Bollywood. Like, no hatred to Bollywood, like I love Bollywood that way, but I know my limitations. I knew कि मतलब Bollywood का playback singer तो होने वाला नहीं है, and my interest was more in rock. So, but it's doable in India. That's what we started figuring it out. But of course, another phase in my life happened, and in 2000, because I cannot go to Mr. India before talking about this.
Okay.
But I'll just tell you in
Sure.
short. So 2014, I met Ruhi again. Ruhi is from
Again means you.
again, like रूही और मेरा लव अफेयर थोड़ा वो मूवी जैसा है, वन हैरी मैट सैली टाइप बोला ना. सो वी यूज्ड टू मीट ईच अदर आफ्टर a couple of years in different phases. ऐसा करके हुआ. And then finally in 2014 we were like, yes, let's get married. And then that decision brought me to Haflong, because Ruhi was already here. And I also, for a change, after living in the city for so many years, I thought कि चलो Haflong फिर जाते हैं. Then I came to Haflong. There's a third phase of me, my relationship with Haflong also. Came back here, started discovering the place again with renewed eyes, and fell in love with the place and with everything associated with it. And that is when I also saw the ugly side of Haflong again. But this time, instead of just saying, oh, this is so bad, I don't like it, I thought we have this responsibility, and also I, as someone from Haflong, I also have the responsibility to do something to make things better, instead of just complaining or just avoiding it. And that is when Mr. India happened, by accident. I was in Haflong. I was taking a break with my band, because rest of my band members were still in Guwahati. So अकेला से चलो solo act भी कर लूँगा. And then I saw, like I told you, I was already writing more about the socio-political dynamics, around me. And when I came to Haflong, that became more localized. So I started observing the socio-political dynamics of Haflong and Dima Hasao in a much closer way. And so I just could not avoid it. And that is when Mr. India happened, because earlier with Digital Suicide, I used to mostly sing in English. But then Mr. India became totally, matlab, chalo Haflong Hindi, like going back to the roots. And the writing also became more intense, because when you come to Haflong, it was at a very fragile state when it comes to the political scenario out here. You know, instability in the council, and infighting among communities, communal tension, and all that. So I was like, what is happening? You know, what is this a joke? So it just, my reaction as Mr. India was like, I was just fed up of all this nonsense, you know. I just wanted to say what is in everyone's heart. सबका दिल में जो है, लेकिन everyone is being diplomatic and बोलता नहीं है, but inside closed doors, घर के अंदर में सब भी बोलता है वो बात को. So that is what I started saying. So my first song with this Mr. India was titled Gukhao. And Gukhao is something which no one would say in public, right? But घर के अंदर में
For
तो
those
बोलता है.
who are listening to you right now, not maybe a literal meaning, but what
No,
does it?
what's the problem in the literal meaning? Literal meaning Gukhao, like eat shit. And in Dimasa also it's quite common now, like hiji, na hijila, na something like that. So it's a common expression. In fact, Ruhi also used to use this expression. Abhi itna nahi bolta hai after made that song. And it was just a reaction. One day I was very frustrated with what was happening. ठीक है? The council, within the span of I think 5-6 months, it has changed the CEM I don't know how many times, and the party also I think 3 times. Like Congress से सब लोग बीजेपी भाग जाता था. मतलब they were just fighting for the CM post and EM post and all that. So again they would run. Someone would get bought, पैसा से एक को खरीद लिया, and then it would keep on changing. And because of that, the whole council was at a standstill, you know. On the other side, employees were not getting salaries for over 1 year, and the leaders were just playing this musical chair, you know, going to BJP Congress. And people were getting fed up, man. And I was also getting fed up because me and Ruhi, when we first came here, we thought कि चलो हाफलों में कुछ करेंगे, you know. And she was like, I want to work with the weavers and empower them, because we don't have a organized sector. We have amazing weavers out here, but it's not organized. Say, for example, like how Swalkuchi is, or any other place, you know, or Banarasi silk sari jaise aata hai, aise karke. We don't have, and our vision was if we can do something like that. And I come from the music background. I was thinking, okay, this is also, you know, entrepreneurship, and then I'll fuse music and arts. So I thought कि council के help से भी will boost tourism and organize some good festivals out here. That was my plan, you know. And I had approached the council also at that time. I had approached the tourism EM at that time, and he was also interested. And I was like, okay, done. One project, you know, coming on the way. But then the council changed the next day, you know. And I was like, what is happening? So out of this anger and frustration and voicing everyone's concern, I said कि गू खाओ, मतलब the song was बीजेपी से कांग्रेस, कांग्रेस से बीजेपी, फिर बीजेपी से कांग्रेस, सब गू खाओ. So the song is still there, and I just put it out there on Facebook, and people went mad, you know, crazy. My wife's aunts and all, they started calling up and saying, क्या हो गया Daniel को? What is he doing, you know? So yeah, that's how it just started.
So Daniel, somewhere you said before, you know, before this whole transition happened, while you were playing with Digital Society, you were also traveling to a lot of other bigger cities, you know, and performing and connecting with new people. Did that give you that sort of an exposure that really needed a small town boy who comes out from a small town place like Haflong, you know, gives you that sort of an awareness? You know, because now when you're back and, you know, and you are still a musician, but then now your music and your songs have a lot more lyrics, you know, meaningful lyrics, right? So did the traveling and that whole phase of, you know, phase when you were connecting to a lot of other people from outside, maybe other band members, did that give you some sort of a edge on those lines to be a lot more vocal now with your music?
Definitely. I mean, like, that's a great question, because my stint with Digital Suicide, by the way, Digital Suicide is not defunct, it's just on hold.
Sure.
Maybe, one day we'll come back all, guns blazing. But Digital Suicide made me who I am in terms of uh, the confidence and clarity of mind and purpose. Because with Digital Suicide, while someone might say, oh, it's just a band, it's just for entertainment, but I was very serious and focused with what I was writing. It was like, okay, music is a universal language, and I can take all these things instead of just writing and all that, ranting, like on a big stage, I'll make thousands of people hear to the words and then dance to it. What better way to put my message across? And let me tell you, coming from a small town, it was not so easy to do that. Like, self doubt, and of course the confidence to go out there and stand up against thousands of people and perform. So stage fright and all that, it took time for me to get to that place. But once I got there, uh, like, it has helped everything today. Like, when I'm able to go and give a speech and people tell me, oh, Daniel, you speak really well and all that, it came through music. Actually, it came through Digital Suicide. So I was already able to stand up on a stage and face hundreds and thousands of people. And I also met amazing people when I was touring with Digital Suicide, like-minded people, and that pushed me in the right direction. Even today, some of my biggest supporters, whom I don't really actually meet that often, and I've not even met in years actually, these are people who still root for me and still are connected to what I'm doing politically. But these are my friends who got connected to me during my Digital Suicide days. I consider them more as my, true supporters than some people whom I have met after I became a politician in that way. So yes, with Digital Suicide, it truly gave me, that that vision of how I want to put across my message to the world. Then it was plainly through music. Now, music is always there, even now, but now through my activism and grassroots politics as well.
So then, Daniel, like when we know that uh, majority of the people may not have that sort of a privilege, maybe from a place like Dima Hasao, right,
Yeah.
to be able to travel, to be able to connect to those sort of people, like you had the privilege, you had the opportunity, I would say, right? Uh, so then how do they basically raise their voice, like this whole major chunk of people who are still who are still not exposed, I doubt if they even know, if if like huge population in Dimahasa would still be very timid, still be very vulnerable, because they're still living in the rural area, right? They may not have that confidence to be able to say things which they would possibly want. Maybe that's why they have been exploited, or they're still being exploited, right? How does one combat a situation like that? How do you really uh, educate the mass, or how do you really enlighten the society that you have to speak for yourself, because that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah. See, Nishal, while I do agree that uh, I have been I had the privilege, to get good education and to have a comfortable life, which my father and my mother gave me. And I completely understand that most people don't get that kind of privilege. And especially in Dima Hasao, so many of people don't get that privilege at all, and it has helped me immensely that way. But I also want to add that mm, in today's time, there are some things which helps you break that barrier. And while you may not be that privileged, you still have the tools to uh, be an original voice and uh, put a stance in front of the whole world. It need not be a political stance, it not be a social stance, but just to believe in yourself and do what you want to do and stand out. That's possible. Why I'm saying so is because uh, like I told you, I have the privilege because I got good education. But at the same time, you know it, right? Like we studied in Don Bosco School, and Don Bosco School, Haflong, is a great school, and it has been one of the top schools in Dima Hasao district. But I'm not like the select privileged few who got to study in this school, There were thousands like me who got to study in Don Bosco School and are still studying today in Don Bosco School. After that, I never went to a very big, like fancy private school like some of the very privileged people get to go. And I lost my father very early, and he was a very simple man. He was not a man of greed in terms of, even though he was a politician, he did not amass crores and crores worth of property and money. When he left us, he had nothing in his bank account, which I tell people, and most people will not believe. He just had around 11 lakhs in his bank account, which most people will not believe. They think, oh, you're making it up. But it's absolutely true. I don't need to prove it anyways. But of course, he gave us this house. He left this house for us. Even that itself is a big privilege. But after my dad also left, whatever I have done is just like pushing through. Like you said, with digital suicide, I got to travel. Yes, I admit. But it was because we really worked hard for digital suicide. There were so many people of my age who also had a guitar, but did not do anything. Did not push hard enough. Some people did not buy or invest in a guitar. They invested in cars, and they were just spending time, which people still do. I tell young people, you are buying an iPhone now, you're just 14, 13, and an iPhone costs a lakh. When I was your age, I cannot even dream of getting that much money that my father or mother will allow me. Danda khayega hum log itna demand karne se. And nowadays, kids are buying bikes which are 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs rupees, man. And you're just a teenager and you get it, you demand, and your mother and father gives you. Like this much of money, you can, if you want, you can invest in something, in what you're passionate about, and really push it. With my one guitar, and then I invested in a laptop, and those two things really helped me travel, man. Because digital suicide was, no one called digital suicide because, oh, aa jao, matlab kuch connection se karke na. Our music spoke for us, and we got it. And then after that, I left digital suicide, not left digital suicide, left Guwahati and came to Haflong. With digital suicide, I could have started touring more and getting more gigs. I came back to Haflong. Haflong से music करना मुश्किल है because you need to go to Guwahati and go. So I was not getting shows anymore. Because I was refusing shows. And then I did Mr. India. And Mr. India is crazy, like I told you. गू खाओ गाना गा दिया मैंने. कौन मुझे shows देगा. And I took that risk. घर से भी गाली खाया, हम घर में भी झगड़ा लगा. My mom, my brother were also like, they love me, they support me, but they were like, Daniel, like, अच्छा खासा कर रहा है तुम, but
क्या
ये
कर
क्या
रहे
कर
हो?
रहा है. And no one understood. No one understood at the time. My friends did not understand what I was doing. And I kept at it. I kept at it because I knew what I was doing. And then after a couple of months, some big publications and all, they started covering my story, like all India level, magazines started writing about me, started taking my interviews. And now I started getting shows as Mr. India. I played some festivals. I played Zero Festival as Mr. India. So what spoke was, I just had internet connection and एक लो ग्रेड वाला कैमरा से मतलब वीडियो खींच के आई यूज टू अपलोड इट. एंड एट द टाइम ठीक है, इंटरनेट स्पीड वॉज फिर भी थोड़ा स्लो. नाउ विद द फोन you can have a better quality of videos which I used to upload back then. Now people have YouTube, so you can learn guitar just like that. You can learn chords just like that. And आजकल तो 15,000 में भी एकदम बढ़िया वाला इंस्ट्रूमेंट गिटार भी मिल जाता है. So what I'm saying is, what is stopping you? Nothing is stopping you. So now you might not have the privilege, but you have the internet and you have a mobile phone. Everyone has a mobile phone. It does not need to be an iPhone. You know, you have the power in your hands. You just need to tell your story properly. Be confident in who you are. Be consistent. Don't waste your time just, just sitting with friends and drinking all day, or, just focus on something and go at it. Let it take 1 year, let it take 2 years, but go at it. I wrote more than 150 songs as Mr. India, more than 150 songs. It took time. With Ruhi, we did the same formula. Now Ruhi has so many followers and people are like, oh, Ruhi and all that. How did she do it? Just in her kitchen, nothing more. She started with a tomato naplam chutney, just that. But then she made a video of her thali every single day. For 365 days, she made a thali video every single day. रोज हम लोग खाना खाता है, रोज हम लोग थाली करता है. You can do it what Ruhi did. Later on वो और भी थोड़ा effort डालने लग गया.
So
But
somewhere what you're trying to say is then it's the consistency and perseverance
absolutely,
of doing what you are doing and just believing in that.
Yeah.
Be it music, be it whatever.
even if no one believes you in the beginning, but if you believe in what you're doing and do it consistently, I don't think anything like all this might sound okay. I've heard it before, but it is true. So many things we hear it, but we don't take it seriously. ये एडवाइस हम लोग बहुत सुनता है कि करते रहो, बिलीव इन योरसेल्फ, कंसिस्टेंटली करो. नहीं करता है लोग. करो ना, इट विल हैपन.
Tell us something about your district, Daniel, Dima Hasao. I've always heard this place. I've always seen this place as, one of the most beautiful hill stations, not just in the Northeast, but the whole of India. I mean, I've got a friend who has come with me on this trip. He's traveled the length and breadth of the world, and then when he was here, he was blown, with the beauty of the place, the purity of people, so clean, so quiet. Uh, in the last 15 years, this whole journey that we are talking about must be around what, 15, 20 years now, right? Haflong 20 years back and Haflong now, what are the stark differences that you see? Maybe in terms of infrastructure, maybe in terms of money that is coming into the place, because we there is rising inflation. You have to be making enough money to sustain now, right? uh, are you happy with the progress the town has seen, the district has seen?
So much more needs to be done. And see, just by the looks of it, if you see, Haflong has changed a lot, and now the population has grown. It has become more crowded that way. But uh, there are some hard-hitting facts that you cannot erase, and that is that earlier Haflong used to be so much more united, like I told you, among the different tribes and communities. And in the early 2000, there was a lot of ethnic clashes among the different communities. Mostly it started among armed militants, and then things got worse, and normal public also got involved, and innocent lives were lost, and that has still left a mark in people's hearts. So while uh, now it is peaceful in that way, because now we don't have active militant groups also, but that togetherness and the trust in each other, regardless of the community, that still needs to heal. That is what I'm feeling. And it will heal. It's not that it will not. We will heal each other, and we will be like the Haflong that we were. But the effort has to be there from everyone. But sometimes vested interest people come and try to break that thing again, and that is what I miss. That is what I want to see. The other thing which is that Haflong used to be very clean, and that the reason is not because पहले population कम था अभी ज़्यादा हो गया, वो तो सब जगह का होता है, but the civic sense, a certain kind of civic sense, it used to be there. Now I don't know, is it because a lot of people from who were not Haflongites but have come from other places have come and settled more? Is it because of that, or I don't know? Maybe civic sense has got out of the window all over. I don't know what is happening, but I see now अभी civic sense थोड़ा कम हो गया है. And that is why, how much can a government comes and government will have to clean. Government has to do its duty. But overall civic sense, what I wish to see, Haflong is a small town. Civic sense हम लोग maintain करके, we'll just keep the space nice and clean. People are united in their hearts and then keep their surroundings clean. If those two things are done ना, बाकी तो क्या है, बाकी तो सब हो जाएगा यार.
Talking about the economy of the place, Daniel, I mean, uh, uh, is it something that has changed over the last few years? Because heavily depends on government jobs, right? But again, the government jobs are very limited. Government can't, any government, be in the center of the state, can't really employ, can't give employment to the whole district.
See, Nishal, I'm a big believer in the local economy. I don't think that government is the answer to unemployment or the economy or jobs. I'm a believer in local economy, and we don't even need, because there's this narrative that private industries, बहुत आना पड़ेगा तभी मतलब जॉब क्रिएट कर सकेगा, and that is why we need all these big industries and all to come. See, a couple of big industries will come, but that will not solve the economic crisis that we are facing today. I mean, like, we can be self-sufficient आराम से यार. Haflong is a small town. We have to understand its limitations. I don't want Haflong to become as big as Aizawl or as Shillong. I absolutely don't. I, with due respect to Shillong and Aizawl, I think it is overcrowded now. It does not need to. There are some other smaller villages and towns, and those need to, be bigger a little bit, and their economy needs to rise. Now, because we are not focusing in the villages and other smaller towns, so everyone is migrating to Haflong. That is what happened with Shillong and Aizawl, and look what is happening. So if that goes on, one day, it will just crumble, that way, and it does not become livable also if the burden is too much in a small town like Haflong. For example, one of the biggest crises right now in Haflong is water crisis. And if we have more of this crisis, then it will be disaster. So what I'm trying to say is, in Haflong we have huge scope. Young people now, they're educated. Local businesses we would be setting up, small shops. Not, we don't need to totally rely on all these retail chains and all that. Some kind of businesses will never die. And we just need to support each other, and it will. But like you said, this sense of brotherhood and unity, if that really bonds, then all the local economy will flourish. So I'm seeing more it like say European countries, small towns and villages and all जैसे run होता है ना, that is the model I see a place like Haflong, if it can adopt, or maybe the smaller towns of Japan. ऐसा वाला मॉडल हम लोग जा सकता है, where local economy is thriving आराम से.
So then a lot also depends, na, ki, like, then for the development of a place, right? A lot will depend on the consciousness and on the alertness and on the understanding of the people who are running this place, right?
Yes.
Who are in the administrative body, who are in the
Absolutely.
governing body. So then, but then who is electing them? It's the people. It's the आम जनता, right? तो वो awareness है यहाँ के आदमी में कि हमको उस तरीका का गवर्निंग बॉडी चाहिए, उस तरीका का इलेक्टेड मेंबर चाहिए जो वो विजन से काम करे.
इट्स अ विशियस साइकिल. तो वो साइकिल में फंस गया है हम लोग, एंड वी नीड टू गेट आउट ऑफ दैट साइकिल. I completely agree what you're saying, that to have a sustainable local economy to run like that, beautifully to run like that, you have to be very straightforward with certain things. Ki nahi, corruption is a no-go, no amount of corruption will accept. And a highly developed society realizes this, and then everything works beautifully. But like you said, for that, the consciousness of people have to rise up. For that, the education has to be of a particular standard. Education does not mean कि मतलब metric में कितना rank लेके आया. Are the teachers also really talking about morality and making them understand about the role of a citizen? That a citizen is who is a responsible citizen. So these kind of things, it's all an ecosystem. And to be very honest, I think बहुत कुछ करना है इसमें, बहुत कुछ करना है, and I don't think we have reached that level right now. But whose responsibility is whose responsibility is it at the end of the day? Like you said, yes, the ruling class needs to be someone who are aware of these kind of things. The people who sit in the ruling class, they have to be. I completely agree. But what if it's not? What if it's not? Then it is everyone's duty. So what do? Then I would say, like what we are also trying to do, play a role. We are not here to create magic, to create a miracle कि एक दिन में कुछ बदल जाएगा. लेकिन कुछ नहीं करने से भी तो कुछ नहीं होगा ना. So you take one step, and maybe tomorrow someone will come in their own field, does not need to be a politician, can be a doctor, can be a teacher, can be anything, takes another 5 steps, maybe something better than what you are doing, and then it creates a chain reaction. And that is all that we can hope for.
uh, Again, somebody who is very much son of the soil, who loves this place so deeply, you definitely want this place to grow and develop, right? You
Yes.
definitely want the locals to have better source of livelihood. What do you think the district should 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 look at, I mean, to have better economy in years to come? Are you looking at more Ambani's and Adani's investment to come here, or do you think there should be more sustainable way, which will obviously be much slower, but then that is maybe the way you should look at the other important question that I would like to ask is tourism, right? Because today we live in a time when the world is so well connected, right? Gone are the days when you would, I remember would be traveling. Just to travel to Guwahati would spend 13-14 hours. Now you can be here in less than 5 to 6 hours. So at a time like this, when the world is so well connected, internet has made the whole world so much more smaller, because anybody can get any sort of information. The beauty of the beautiful stories of Dima Hasao can be sent out to anyone, anybody who's living anywhere in the world. ऐसा नहीं कि somebody in Delhi does not have to know. I mean, there are ways to market this destination in such a way that you can really promote tourism. Do you think again, the state and the district is doing enough to promote that? Because that's, I think, one space that we could definitely look at.
See, it's good that tourism is being taken seriously right now, not just in Dima Hasao, but in the whole of Northeast. But mass tourism is something which I am not a big supporter of. I don't think mass tourism is the answer. And I also don't think that putting all your eggs in one basket, and that basket is tourism, is also not the answer, you know. I mean, first of all, the people who are living here, there should be a thriving local economy, and that should be the backbone. Local economy, like when I say local economy, I mean the people living in Dima Hasao, in Haflong, they are all helping each other out in their businesses, you know. So in some, you're not just a buyer, but you're also a producer. I'm also not just a buyer, but also a producer, you know, and it's a nice circle and a chain. And tourism is there to supplement in some areas where, say mostly in the rural areas where because of the geography or the location and some other things, you can't have a big market out there, so that is where tourism can supplement, you know. And so the lack of earning which might arise out of these difficulties, tourism will fill up. But mass tourism is a different story, you know. You pick two, three popular spots and everything you push there, you know. So everyone goes to this one location only, and one group of people only earn the money, and it also creates a lot of waste and completely changes the environment and puts a burden on the environment and the local ecosystem, you know. That is not sustainable at all, and that is not what I believe is what we need actually. So in
So Daniel, matlab, in that case, so it's even more complicated, right? Because
no,
you definitely have a place that could be marketed well. This
yes,
story, the story of this place, of this soil, is something that is very sellable. But then you don't want the whole mass. You don't want like you are not looking at quantity, but you're looking at quality. Maybe something along the lines of what country like Bhutan is doing, right? I'm not sure if Assam is doing anything similar, but maybe Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh have also come to a large extent in terms of targeting getting tourists into the state. But a place like Dima Hasao, जहाँ पे there are enough natural resources, there are enough touristy places. There is a culture that you can sell. There is food that you can sell.
no, no, exactly. That is what I'm coming at, you know. See, when you say that Dima Hasao is so beautiful and it has so much potential, what do you exactly mean? You know, what do you exactly mean? Where do you see the potential? It's in our, you see our hills, right? You see our waterfalls, you see our rivers. That is what you are coming here for, right? There's no Burj Khalifa out here.
Right.
You're not coming for that, are you? There's no Disneyland out here. You're not coming for that. So you are coming for this sensitive eco zones, you know. And the reason why these things exist is because the ecosystem around it has been preserved. Otherwise, these are not finite things. कल रिवर ड्राई अप हो सकता है. कल ये जो ट्रैक इतना सुंदर दिखता है, it can be littered with plastic and totally things can change. Maybe the birds will stop coming there, which are coming right now. The whole ecosystem can change in a couple of years. The whole world was like this at one point of time. Now there are only few biodiversity hotspots in the whole world, and the Northeast is one of these. And in the Northeast, within Assam, Dima Hasao is one biodiversity hotspot. It's not by chance that this is a biodiversity hotspot. It's not by chance that these beautiful places exist. It is because we have also given it space. Now, if we stop giving it space, it will change. It will change, absolutely. So, we cannot burden it just because we want money right now. And then what about 15, 20 years? Will it look the same? And then once it's not the same, people will stop coming. And then what happens? So you need to think of a longer run, you know, let it go. And instead of that, why burden so much and just make everything a touristy place, a selfie point, you know? Now, if you go to Tumjang, it's great that it's doing well and people are earning money. But the whole landscape is also changing in that sense. So what we can do instead is also not totally make it all about extracting from the nature, but we have our culture with us, which is the unique aspect, you know. And whatever culture is here, for example, the Dimasa culture, the Zeme culture, you know, the Kuki culture, Mar culture, Beate culture, so many different communities, all unique on its own. And when you go to each of these different villages belonging to different communities, you'll get a different culture. And let me tell you, like while we are doing our best to preserve it, and we will preserve it like we have done for many years, but we have also have to understand that the world is getting globalized at such a fast rate. And while we say कि ये plant extinct हो जाएगा शायद, this is endangered, this animal species, this culture is also endangered right now. So I tell people, come and experience while it's still there, you know. Who knows, it might not be there anymore after 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. A 1,000-year-old culture might disappear after a couple of decades, you know. So you come, don't, and get immersed in it, and then appreciate the fact that this exists, you know, this unique thing exists, which might not tomorrow. And then you pay respect to it and give a premium fee for it, you know. Don't come to Haflong Dima Hasao just hassle, okay, I took a beautiful selfie point में मैंने photo ले लिया, and then you'll hassle hotel में, गाड़ी में, you know, दो ना 500 रुपया कम में दो ना. I don't think that's
So, Daniel, I'm
respect.
totally with you. Totally understand where you're coming from. You know, which is which is why I'm very keen to understand. So, you know, when you are talking about such multi-layered, you know, explanation to, you know, what and how we should really promote a destination, because this is something that a center would not understand, you know. उसके लिए तो उन लोग को
Yeah.
they have to really get into the
I
culture
know.
of a place, like
Yeah.
कितना layer है उसमें. So then the tourism stakeholders, right, the homestay owner, right, the tourism ministry, you know, I don't know if council, this is governed by an autonomous council, right?
Yes.
So autonomous council, I'm not sure if they have a tourism का department, you know. So ये awareness, this awareness and this consciousness have to be really you know, sent out on multiple layers, right? The travel agents that you are talking to, you know, you need to explain them that this is what we want to promote, right?
Yeah.
Because centers sitting there will not understand. They might want to give funds, but that, again, that fund will be used on infrastructure. But that you don't want that sort of a selfie point here, right? You want tourists to come here and get a very immersive experience.
Yeah.
Do you think the state government or the council is doing all of this? Because I don't think वो indigenous homestay owner को इतना awareness रहेगा ये सब चीज़ में.
No, see,
What do you think we are doing right, and where do you think we are going wrong?
see, what I would not say that the council or the state government or, you know, the tourism department. By the way, we do have a tourism department under the council.
Okay.
So ऐसा नहीं कि इको टूरिज्म के बारे में बात नहीं करता, कर रहा है आजकल. होम स्टे के बारे में बात होता है, फंड्स भी आ रहा है. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इनफैक्ट दे आर गिविंग फंड टू सेट अप होम स्टेज. So some of the concept they are getting it right, but I still feel that see, there are not two ways about it, you know. Some places though, obviously it's already a city and all, those kind of tourism will appeal to mass tourism, say in a bigger city like Guwahati or something like that, you know. I mean, there also tourism needs to rise, right? We have tourists going to Bangkok. Why won't we have tourists coming to a big city like Guwahati or Shillong? Shillong is a big city now, but for smaller areas, our policy has to be really clear. And what I feel is we have to be brave enough and to be, you know, sure about what we want. And उसमें थोड़ा conflict है. While we are also talking about ecotourism and homestays and all, we are also just focusing on, matlab, like I told, selfie points and one infrastructure. I mean, like Haflong में अभी infrastructure बनाया है, restaurants ये सब बनाया है, but like nothing जो यहाँ का soul के बारे में बात करता है. So like more the architecture can also be more aesthetic to the local place, you know, instead of just बाहर में भी सीमेंट से ऐसा बना देता है मतलब ऑल दिस, तो यहाँ में भी वैसे ही स्टाइल से बना देगा. बाहर में भी ये खाना मिलता है तो इधर में भी ये खाना मिलता है, बिकॉज like where's your own originality and soul in it? There are few selfie points, everyone is rushing to there. So what I'm trying to say is the discussions are going on, but execution is a little different that way. While I do understand that things will take time, it won't happen, but we also have to be sure that with tourism, time also runs out. And then once the word of mouth is there, कि ऐसा है वैसा है, like it can take a lot of time to undo what you're doing. So
Delving more into politics now, Daniel. Last year, you formed your own political party,
yeah,
People's Party, right? Uh, for a young boy,
I'm a man now.
you're not a, I wouldn't say young boy anymore, but with all the
Yeah.
experience and wisdom that you have got over the years, what is your vision as somebody who's spearheading the party, right? And do you have mentors? Are you constantly talking with other people to to really keep you informed, to educate you? What is the plan ahead? We also hear that you are contesting for the MLA election, which is I think going to happen in April this year.
Yes.
uh, we have been seeing you busy campaigning, meeting people, going to villages. How has been the response? Let's start a bit with your political party. Was it something that uh, you had thought of earlier, or when did this happen, and what's the route ahead?
See, when I joined electoral politics in 2018, ideally I would have wanted to maybe start my own party even back then. But I did not have the courage, of course. Like, you're new in politics, in electoral politics, you yourself as an individual, you are new, and then you start a new party on your own. Like, that's, I mean, like, that's almost next to impossible. So, but ideally, I would have wanted that, because I was fed up with the existing politics which was happening. I know politics is not perfect that way, but I mean, like, as an educated person, and when you grow up and you are taught that, okay, education means something, and there's a right way of doing something, there's a wrong way of doing something, there's something called law and justice and everything. And then you see in the real world, all the politicians and political parties do not care about all these things at all. So, like, I was just fed up, and I wanted to be part of the system and change things, from inside. But limitations are there, like I told you. So, starting a new party, it's crazy idea. So, I did the next best thing, which is like join hands with the opposition. And at that time, Congress was in opposition.
You're talking about 2018.
I'm talking about 2018, yes. Congress was in the opposition. I joined Congress, and I did my best. Uh, I worked hard, and like I said, when you work hard, you do get results. So I got the ticket from Congress. I contested in the council election from Haflong constituency. I won. But of course, expectations were very high, and I was still new in politics. So of course, you make some mistakes, and I was very idealistic at that time. I was like, सब
My way or
एक बार
highway.
my way or the highway, सब एक बार में change होना है. And it does not work that way also. You need time. But that is also not an issue, but I took on some big guns. I really took on some big guns. जो सही नहीं लगता है, हम चैलेंज कर देता है. Let it be the CM, let it be the chief minister, let it be a very influential minister. I have taken it, मतलब पूरा, मतलब आई हैव टेकन अप द फाइट. एंड उसमें थोड़ा समय लग गया, एंड उसमें व्हेन यू चैलेंज द बिग फिश, दे विल कम आफ्टर यू लाइक एनीथिंग, एंड दे केम आफ्टर मी. They came after me, पूरा मतलब मेरे पीछे में लगा मतलब and all that. At the same time, I also was not very happy staying in Congress because of the high command culture which exists in any party, I understand, but Congress में भी बहुत था. And I was really fighting with my heart, you know. And I know many people in the ground, especially young people, they wanted a change. And the young people of Haflong really rooted for me, supported me, you know. And I was dissatisfied with how Congress was not really opening up its doors to more young people, you know. I was lucky. Yeah, I worked hard. But I also come from privilege, you know. But not everyone is privileged that way. My father was a politician. My father was in Congress. So maybe that helped. And I was a popular activist and musician at the time. And Congress was in a bad state, so it wants more people. And I have this, you know, my father was in Congress, so मुझे chance मिल गया. But other people won't get the chance, so you really have to change your game, you know, that way. And I was really invested in that, to change politics, you know, how we are doing things. And I saw Congress was very slow in that. In fact, BJP was quite fast in adapting to these new things, even though many of the tactics were unethical, but they were quite quick, you know, in that sense. And so वो चीज़ में थोड़ा मुझे struggle लगा with Congress, and in my heart I was like wanting to try out something new. And you asked me one thing, do you have any mentor in politics? Actually, I don't, you know. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. For a very long time, I thought, you know, it's good without having a mentor and all that, you know, independent. किसी का क्या सुनना है मतलब दिल में अगर सोच लेने से क्या है सही है गलत है, that is enough. But of course, you also commit mistakes. And then I used to think, कि काश, maybe if my father was here, you know. I'm not saying he was the perfect politician, but from his mistakes and experiences, maybe he would have told me something. So now I am, you know, aligning with some people and learning things from some people, like with Sri Pradyot, you know, Bubagra. We have been, over the last couple of years, we have been in touch, and I see a kind of like a, not a mentor, I would say, but like a elder brother figure
So
in
you're
him.
talking about the bigger entity called
Entity,
the One Northeast.
one Northeast,
Okay.
you know.
So did it happen around the same time?
It
Or?
actually happened around the same time. Yes, that is quite interesting because coming to People's Party, which we started in September, you know, so this was boiling on for quite some time. कि मतलब खुद का party भी करना है, and then it was not only my aim, because I realized while moving in the grassroots all over Dima Hasao that most people were also feeling the same, and especially young people. Young people were disillusioned कि मतलब they are not happy with BJP right now, but कांग्रेस भी जाने का फुल्ली मन नहीं हो रहा है, ऐसा करके मतलब बहुत लोग हैं. So they wanted something fresh in that sense. So we have been deliberating over it for over a year now. करना है, but वही होता है ना कि मतलब एक doubt रहता है ना, because see, I've tried many things in life and I've took the chance. But to start a party is not a individual thing, ना कि मुझे मन है तो कर लिया. There are people involved, man, and then it's a big thing. It's not कि I'll halfway I'll think कि मतलब oh चलो, I realize it was a mistake, let's turn back, you know. You will, when if you lead it, especially there will be people along with you, and then so many complicated stuff like
expectations as well.
funding and expectation and, you know, all these things, you know, sacrifices. But finally, after more than a year of going to villages, connecting with people, building the team slowly bigger one by one, we finally decided last year during like June, July कि मतलब करना है. तो थोड़ा टाइम लग गया अनाउंस करते करते, but it was during the same time that Sri Pradyot and Sri Conrad also got in touch. They were like, okay, we are also thinking of some ideas. We really like the work that you're doing, Daniel. So would you be up to some discussions? Come over to Shillong, let's meet in Guwahati and all that. So we had a series of talks. So initially it was just like we have an idea ki, to make a political movement which is pan northeast, and all that. I was like, sounds good, but then how do we go about it? But of course, I mean, like, these are established leaders, so they must have their own idea. I just went with open ears, ki chalo sunega and all that. So it took a couple of months, and then last year around the same time, like August and all, we are talking about all this. But we did not know how this will go through. So for me, I was like, मुझे तो party निकालना है, तो if this does not work out, then कुछ तो हम लोग तो सोच के ही रखा है डिमा हसाओ के लिए. So I went ahead and we were like, okay, People's Party. We announced our party, and then we are just in the process of slowly building it, because it's a धीरे धीरे करके आगे जाना है. But during the same time, one Northeast idea also, it started gaining momentum, and then we had more people. Monlumo Kikon, ex-minister of Nagaland, he also came in, and more people started coming in, and then it just gained momentum.
Daniel,
It's still very complicated in that sense.
which is why I want to ask you this. Is it not getting too much, like too many things happening around the same time? You have your own new party. You are contesting for the MLA election. Then you have one Northeast where you are rubbing shoulders with seasoned politicians like Mr. Conrad Sangma, the Maharaja. But you're at the end of the day, how we started this conversation, somewhere your focus obviously at this point of time is the whole development and uplift of this place, right? Dima Hasao. Is it
Yes.
not getting diluted somewhere, the whole vision? Because you obviously will be splitting your time and energy and effort to also look at the larger scheme of things, which is one Northeast. Do you not feel that that's too much happening for
No,
you?
certainly it's a lot of things. Certainly it's a lot of things, and I would have never thought that suddenly there would be so many things to handle. But it's all in the right direction. That is what I would say. Because obviously, as someone from Dima Hasao, as a son of the soil of Haflong, uh, Haflong is my priority, Dima Hasao is my priority. Absolutely. There's no second thoughts, regarding this. And I'm here for my people first. But at the same time, I also completely agree with the vision of One Northeast, because the challenges that we face out here in the Northeast is different from other areas. I mean, with due respect to all the issues that any other region faces, but Northeast issues are unique on its own. And then at the same time, I truly feel that we need the support of each other, because we were talking about idea of tourism, we were talking about the idea of local economy. How will that actually work in practice? That will happen if we, the neighbors, the brothers and sisters of Northeast, we are more deeply connected, and not just कि oh हम लोग Northeast के हैं and all that. We start doing real business with each other, because we are our neighbors, man. We have this historical connection. But today, we suppose me sitting here in Haflong, we are doing more business with China that way, because most of our stuff are coming from China. We are even doing more business with Bangladesh or Myanmar, because many products are coming from there. We are doing more business with the rest of the Indian states. Maybe most of the products are also coming from there. And maybe from here it's going there. But among ourselves, we have not reached the potential that we can reach. And that is where I think the future lies. If we can crack this, I mean, like, we can help each other out and become a sustainable economy on its own, the whole of Northeast. And this vision is not completely separate from the vision of how I want to see Haflong and Dima Hasao as a self-sustainable development model. It is all interconnected. Because if one Northeast, we do not follow the same vision on its own, it is possible that we can do, but it will still be very, 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 very difficult to do. And this is the vision, this is the model, I think, which all of Northeast we can do, because we have the same pattern, we have the same culture, we have the same issues, and we have the same resources too. And we also should have the same agenda and motive and vision for the next 100 years, and beyond that also. So this vision needs to be there. And when we have leaders, but this vision also, there have to be people who also believe in this vision. Now when there are leaders who believe in this vision, like Sri Konrad Sangma and Sri Pradyut and so many others, like, why not take a chance? Because it's a risky thing for people to do, because we are all invested in our own state. See, Meghalaya ka Meghalaya sochega, Assam ka Assam sochega, Nagaland ka Nagaland sochega, which is very natural for people to do. And the next generation of leaders, they might also continue with the same vein. So whether we'll succeed or fail, that's not the point. But the thing is, you better try it while people are there trying it out. And what I'm doing with my own state, Dima Hasao and Haflong, and with People's Party, that option I'll keep. If one Northeast also blooms the way it is doing, then we'll all be part of it. But of course, I also like to keep my own individual path also there. Plan B, plan C.
So now, when you are spending time, and you know you have a new bond with 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 ministers like Konrad Sangma, Maharaj Pradyut. They are obviously seasoned pioneers who have already spent, I think, a lot more time than you in politics. Uh, Maybe their level of consciousness is more, or at least they are more experienced. That would be right to say. Have there been any key takeaways from them when you are conversing, when you're talking to them, at least in some of these spaces like tourism? I'm particularly talking about tourism because Meghalaya obviously has done a lot in the last 1 decade, in terms of promoting the destination in a newer way, getting also the new kinds of tourists into the state. It's not the regular kinds of tourists which is coming there now. Concert tourism is something that has really come up
Yeah.
in all these places. Assam still lacks, I think, place like Dima Hasao. So it's very small, but again, there is a lot of potential. So what I'm trying to understand is, since now you are spending time, I'm assuming talking to them, speaking with them, maybe for one Northeast itself, but have there been, those times when, you feel there is this particular thing that I could possibly take back from this conversation? Are there some key takeaways?
See, while I agree that these are seasoned politicians, Conrad and Bubagra, Pradyut, but seasoned politicians also come with their own baggage, because you cannot please everyone, and everything is not black and white. So where I see my role in this new dynamics of One Northeast is also, I'm the junior partner, but I think I see myself as the troublemaker also, in that sense, because I can take that chance and I can give that weird idea or the unconventional idea.
Have you
Or
been doing that?
I've been doing that, and I think that is my role, and this is what I should be doing. For example, we are talking about tourism. Look at Meghalaya. While Meghalaya is doing good with tourism, and Meghalaya is good with ecotourism also, but there's also mass tourism happening. And some people like it, some people hate it. So people criticize Conrad also for some of the things going on in Meghalaya. Some people might criticize Bubagra Maharaj for some of his politics or his idea of development and all that. So in their position, sometimes they are also stuck with a boundary of where to work with limitations, sometimes you can't take that risk, but you need someone to push also, to give that risk. And I'm sure they have their own set of advisors. But among the political class, if also we push each other, then I think that is where the new ideas will come in. And we need new ideas. You're a creative person, and I come from a creative background. I am not I'm not someone जो मतलब politics का ladder मतलब that traditional route से उठा है. Like, even though my father was a politician, he never wanted me to be into politics. He was like, engineer bano, doctor bano, dur raho politics se. So I'm an accidental politician that way. वो student politics करके उठा, ऐसा वाला नहीं है.
What do you mean by accidental politician? You also mentioned about that your father was an accidental politician.
Yeah, while we were talking earlier in the morning. No, in the sense that that's what my father told me, and my mother told me also, that he was a businessman, he was a sports person, he was active in the local sports scene of Haflong, that way. And like, we were a happy family, and but he became very popular, and people wanted him to assume a bigger role that way. And that is how they were like, people were pressurizing him कि मतलब politics में जाना है. And he himself never thought that he would get into politics that way. Otherwise he would have gone into politics at a much earlier age, when he easily could have, and everyone around him was already into politics. So, I mean, that's what they told me, that he also got accidentally into politics. And so me also, I never thought, because my father and my mother, they both discouraged me. They were like, we are a political family, but that's it, it ends here, you don't need to do it. Because I understand their concern, because hota hai na typical Indian father mother का mentality कि मतलब बेटा लोग का best हो देना है, and सरकारी नौकरी अगर हो गया तो इंजीनियर डॉक्टर हो गया तो एक स्टेबल एक फ्यूचर होगा, and all that. And I don't blame them that way.
Do you then have more burden, because your father was a seasoned politician, so was your grandfather, who was much respected in this district. So do you carry that baggage with you today when you have your own political party and you are contesting an election from your own party for the first time? What if you lose? What if you win? There is certain amount of
course,
expectation.
that kind of pressure will always be there, but I don't treat it as a baggage. Somehow, of course, because I come from this lineage of politician, and the opposition must be, if they are watching this interview of mine, they must be laughing and calling me, yeah, what a hypocrite, saying accidental politician. Father was a politician, grandfather was a politician, you are a dynast. So my opposition also use that tag on me right now, because I feel they don't have a clear point to defame me और say कि मतलब डैनियल इज अ करप्ट पॉलिटिशियन और डैनियल ने ये खराब किया है वो खराब किया, वो इतना नहीं मिलता है, इसलिए डायनेस्ट, बिकॉज द वर्ड डायनेस्ट इन इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स टुडे हैज बिकम लाइक a curse, like a gali, but I don't take it as a baggage at all. I'm proud of my lineage, absolutely, because my grandfather, he was the CEM of the council in the 50s, and he comes from that generation where at the time no one wants to become a politician because politics mein paisa hai, because India had just gotten independence, and there was this no concept of an elected member, and we did not have a council back then, so no one knew ki council wala cheez hoga, 6th schedule hoki aise hoga bolki. So my grandfather and many of his generation at that time, because so many were also not qualified in that sense कि थोड़ा तो पढ़ाई लिखाई तो थोड़ा तो जानना पड़ेगा ना कुछ तो. They were not highly qualified also, but there were few men of that caliber who would lead, and this is the era of independence, freedom movement and all that. So these were men of character, and that is why they could become leaders.
You touch upon a very interesting word, dynast. you know, which I think, which by that, what you mean to say is, uh, you know, legacy, right?
Legacy.
Yeah.
हाँ.
So we had from Congress, we had in the center Rahul Gandhi, you know, who was, I think, for the longest time he was, he had that whole baggage, and who never could prove. But maybe the Bharat Yatra that he did a few years ago, after that, you know, there was certain amount of change in his personality. You know, the kind of press conferences he started doing after that whole campaign. I mean, I think we saw a new avatar of Rahul Gandhi. Did Daniel Langthasa also have any sort of a Dima Hasao Jor Yatra or something like that?
No, I was of course tempted to do a yatra many times, and I have been on a yatra, but I did not call it a yatra because most politicians they go on a yatra ना. मतलब एक है, किसी ने मुझे बोला था, मैं एक बार फेसबुक में मैसेज लिखा रहा, डेनियल दा आप ऑल दिस पॉलिटिशियंस ना जब कभी कुछ एक बड़ा मूवमेंट जब शुरू करता है दे गो ऑन अ यात्रा, यू नो, तो आप भी एक यात्रा में जाओ बोल के सम इयर्स अगो, ठीक है. I actually have been on a yatra. Like for the last couple of years, I have been traveling all around Dima Hasao, you know. But Dima Hasao is so huge, I still have to cover a lot of areas, and I plan to do it in the next couple of years, slowly, slowly. I don't want to leave out a single village, and that is my aim, and I will do it. I'm pretty sure that way. But like you said, ki, haan, I am on a yatra actually. So, and it has made me learn a lot. It has even much more than my term as a MSc 2018 में हो गया, you know. But then this yatra has taught me a lot. Unofficial yatra.
How confident are you with the MLA election, which is going to happen in April? Do you think you're going to win?
See, I mean, like, I don't want to just give an answer which would be to show that okay, I'm very confident and कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, हम हार तो आएगा ही नहीं. I'm being very practical and I'm being very honest, ठीक है. This whole journey to just start this thing, that took a whole lot of courage, you know, whole lot of expectation and courage. And election is a very different dynamics where in the last couple of years so many things have changed now, where money plays a huge factor.
But that is something you know. You come from a.
Yeah, I know all of that. I know all of that. And that is what I'm saying ki, while knowing all of this, so if you are just plainly interested in just the uh, power part of it, कि जैसे तैसे करके मुझे लेना है, तो obviously I would not have ventured out on this new path, you know, which does not mean that we are just playing ideology politics. We are here for the win. We are here for the win, and I'm confident looking at the reaction कि मतलब we have done the right thing. And we'll go for the win, that is for sure. But I don't want to be boastful or sound very, you know, pompous and say कि हम लोग तो जीत रहा है election and all that. बिकॉज आजकल ट्रेंड हो गया ना, सब भी बोलता है हम लोग जीतेगा. शो मी वन पॉलिटिशियन हु डज नॉट से कि आई विल नॉट विन बिफोर एन इलेक्शन.
Okay, so
प्रशांत किशोर भी बोलता है, बीजेपी भी बोलता है, कांग्रेस भी बोलता है. एट द एंड ओनली वन विंस. सो दैट मीन्स द रेस्ट वेर either lying or did not actually know or read what was happening. So I'm being very honest. We are in a very good position. We are the challenger right now, with no disrespect to Congress, because we just came into the scene right now. But
you didn't
but
mention BJP at all.
no, BJP, so we are targeting BJP, na? We are trying to dislodge BJP. But we have to understand that BJP is there and the main opposition was Congress. So right now, we have crossed Congress with no disrespect to Congress. I think a lot of Congress voters also feel, and they have been talking with me recently, that they also feel कि they support our movement. But the good thing is, A lot of BJP workers are also supporting our movement. Because out here, I'm clearly, मैंने बार बार बोला है, I don't believe in the concept कि Congress मुक्त भारत and BJP हटाओ देश बचाओ. I don't believe in that, you know. So we need to speak for our people first. And what our party, why we even formed this party is because we want to break this monopoly of our council being controlled by the state government, because that completely crushes the whole idea of autonomy and sixth schedule. Because the whole idea of giving sixth schedule was giving an autonomy to the people for self-rule, which does not mean that we are trying to be totally independent from Assam, not at all. But we are still under Assam, we would still be working with the state government. But if you don't trust the council and the people to be able to self-govern, you know, and to execute the power which you have given to us in the Indian constitution, you're just doing a disservice, and you are not being honest to the people that it's a democracy, you know. You're not being honest to the constitution of India. And that has completely, you know, the whole idea of sixth schedule and the autonomy that we used to have in the last couple of years, we have seen it fade away slowly. And everyone realizes this, whether you are in BJP, because some people have to be in BJP today for bread and butter, you know. Somehow their work is related, everything is connected with the government. But everyone agrees that the sixth schedule has been diluted a hell lot, and, you know, it is difficult for us to raise voices by being in these national parties. So we are getting a lot of support, and people are going to be surprised.
Do you have does your party have some sort of a manifesto? Have you even worked on it? Like, you know, what if you come to power tomorrow? We have been talking about problems all throughout, but there should be solution to those problems as well, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. But see, let me be very frank. Um, we This is the MLA election, and we are not going to, it's a new party, so we are not just going overconfidently saying कि आसाम में हम लोग जीत जाएंगे. We are not doing that, you know. So we are going to contest in only a couple of seats. And our longer vision is also for Dima Hasao, our autonomous council, you know, which is 3 years away. So we are being very frank with that. हम लोग कुछ इतना वो करने वाला नहीं है. So इसलिए मैनिफेस्टो तो बहुत लोग बोलता है, कौन मानता है यार मैनिफेस्टो में क्या लिखा है. So these things will slowly go ahead. ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग का कुछ आइडिया नहीं है, कुछ विजन नहीं है. That's not it. But what people write in the manifesto, they do something completely opposite, you know. Ours is simple, like I said before. We want the whole governance idea, at least for some areas in Assam, to change and look at local economy and push local economy and empower, you know, local entrepreneurship and support instead of just giving freebies. ये जो वेलफेयर स्कीम देके खाली उसमें जो पैसा वेस्ट कर रहा है ना, उसके बदले गांव में चलो लेके सच में वो लोग को एम्पावर करो, किसी का फार्म खोलने के लिए दो, किसी का वो करो, और उसको इंक्यूबेशन में वो लोग को ट्रेन करो, थोड़ा समय दो. दैट इज व्हाट वी वांट. दिस आर द थिंग्स, यू नो. बट लेट मी बी वेरी फ्रैंक, like I told you, we are not going to form the government in Assam. So I also don't want to just give कि मतलब ऐसा ऐसा कि our time will come when we'll present कि मतलब हम लोग ये करने जा रहा है. For now, we're just keeping it simple. We are going to grassroots. We are talking to people one-on-one, and then just living up to good faith. Living it up to good faith that way.
okay, so then before maybe we wind this up, you know, one thing that I would want to quickly touch upon is, you know, you've been very vocal about rights of the indigenous tribes. Fair enough. You know, you one being someone from the community, from the tribe, you need to be vocal about it, right? we also see that you're very vocal about six schedule. Now, are these two foundation that your party is based on? Because when we were following you today, also during the campaign, we saw you wearing a t-shirt. I think that's something that we have seen you online as well. I love six schedule.
I'm still wearing it under this hoodie.
Okay. So, can you just tell a little bit about what it is and what does it really guarantee, to people who stay in a place like Dima Hasao?
See, absolutely. Like, sixth schedule is a big part of my political stance. But obviously, we live in a greater universe and political landscape. So, obviously, it is not limited just to sixth schedule. But where I come from, to my people, to its land, sixth schedule is paramount. It is absolutely necessary to be steadfast in my belief that I stand for the protection of sixth schedule, for the pure implementation of some of the power given to us under sixth schedule. No compromises on that, you know. And when it comes to the rights of my indigenous tribal people, I completely stand by it. For this, I get a lot of backlash also. And I find it very surprising. And I get a lot of backlash from people who are not living in sixth schedule, who are not even from here. And I find it funny because I don't go and give opinions to, I might someday pass, observe what is happening. Oh, this is not right or wrong. But I don't go and give my opinion on some other region on how they should run their politics and their policies and all that. So I don't know how some people just jump to the conclusion and give opinions on sixth schedule. And when I talk about indigenous tribals, right, because you have to. I would be the happiest person, Nishal, if actually मतलब ये सब चीज उठा दो. Many people say कि yeah, sixth schedule, tribe status उठा दो ना सब. Let it be all based on merit, everything. I say fine, let's do it. I'll be the first person happy. Do you think बहुत अच्छा लगता है मुझे अपना को ट्राइबल क्या है मतलब ट्राइबल एसटी स्टेटस होके कुछ क्या अलग स्टेटस मिलता है नहीं क्या एनीवेज इन ऑल स्टेटस भी तो बहुत नीचे करके रखा है ट्राइबल का इट्स लाइक इट्स नॉट समथिंग टू बी प्राउड ऑफ एक्चुअली इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट सो बट हु विल डू इट ये दुनिया को एक कर दो तब तो जस्ट ह्यूमन बींग्स लेट्स नॉट जस्ट बेस्ड ऑन रिलीजन कास्ट कम्युनिटी और हम लोग जज नहीं करेंगे नो कैटेगरी आई विल बी द हैप्पीएस्ट पर्सन बट हु विल डू इट हुज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज इट क्या एक छोटा कम्युनिटी जो अभी नाम दे के रखा है सपोज डिमासा दे के रखा है एसटी दे के रखा है और कुछ दे के रखा है कैन दे डू इट दे डोंट हैव द पॉलिटिकल पावर टू डू इट सो समवन हु इज इन द मेजॉरिटी will have to do it. Will they do it? No. As long as that does not happen, then you will have to protect your own group. Otherwise, it's the minority group which will be the first sufferer because पहले उधर ही attack खाएगा ना. Then you, if no one is going to make this world an equal place, then everyone has a right to protect their identity and culture. So I am protecting mine.
This sort of conversation, ये जो aspect में आप बात कर रहे हो, right? Is this something that your voters are able to understand? Because we live in a very strange time, honestly. We live in a time when we are like flooded with, all the colorful, glitzy, Instagramic moments, where I think infrastructure is more important than talking about culture. When somebody tells me that, यहाँ पे ये बनेगा वो बनेगा that is more important than somebody else who's gonna talk about मेरा ancestral rights क्या है मेरा वो things like that. So now when you're getting into the grassroots and talking to the community, talking to the voters, going to those villages, are they able to understand your language? Or do you think that you find yourself sometimes outdated?
No, completely now it's in sync what we are talking about, and that is why we are getting a lot of support and also we are getting a lot of hate. I mean, hate from the right quarters because we must be doing something right. And that is why I'm getting a lot of hate because, say, with one Northeast जब हम लोग निकला या some people are commenting कि oh ये सिर्फ tribal लोग का है मतलब tribal unity. No, we never said that. Conrad happens to be tribal, that's a different thing. I happen to be. Tomorrow there will be a non-tribal also. But अगर tribal unity का बात करा भी कोई, what is the problem? It does not mean कि tribal unity means किसी का against में. Tribals are anyways कम ना. ठीक है, tribal मत बोलो indigenous तब तो indigenous people. उसमें भी किसी किसी का problem है. Who are more indigenous? And that is why recently I countered when Himanto said कि Assam is the land of Shankar Madhav. And then Gaurav Gogoi says Assam is the land of Shankar Azan. I said ki all due respect to Shankar Dev, Srimanto Honkar Dev and Madhav Dev and Azan Fakir. But why does the narrative always leave out the indigenous people also? Like, okay, when I say indigenous, फिर से कौन indigenous है? But why do you leave out people who have also been living here from thousands of years before even Shankar Dev or anyone was there? Culture was still there, tradition was still there, their own heroes were also there. But if you don't recognize these heroes and cultures, obviously कभी भी narrative में तो आएगा ही नहीं ना. And when I say that, many people are like, oh, you're again dividing Assam, you know, you're not respecting Himanta Hankardev. I said they are respected, but why does speaking for your own feels like someone is getting threatened? In fact, even though when these groups are the minority groups about whom I'm speaking about, with very less representation, you know, so I will do that, and why not? It is getting the support, and that is why today we are going from strength to strength. You know, we are going strength to strength. Today we went to a couple of meetings. People in the village, you know, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, they tell me, Daniel, I'm seeing you today for the first time, but I keep seeing you on the mobile phone, you know, and I heard what you're talking about, and we really like what you're doing, what you're saying, man. Yesterday, I went to a place, it was not a meeting, but a gathering, a cultural gathering. वहाँ में एक उमर, I think he's also well educated that way from the way he spoke. He was an elderly person. He came to me and said ki the way you're talking about indigenous people and you're talking about unity, there is something which, you know, when I was a student in 70s, I also used to think the same and I used to talk about. But yes, it should have been talked about then itself. It should have been done there. But then no problem, at least you are saying it, it's good. That is what we need. And I have to thank the internet too, because without reaching, you know, and meeting people face to face in a lot of areas, but my words are reaching them and is connecting. So I disagree with you, Nishal. It is not outdated. It is actually what is right now relevant. It
Fair
is
enough.
absolutely relevant.
Fair enough, Daniel. Before we exit, one last question to end this. Is Ruhi still able to feed you with all Ruhi ka cuisine, or that because I see her participating in the campaign, she's right with you, rubbing shoulders and giving you support. It must be a great time of bonding as well, but पूरा madness में ऐसा तो नहीं कि like you guys are forgetting to enjoy the little moments. How are you guys coping up with all the pressure and all the all the hectic schedules?
No, I mean, like, I have deep respect for Ruhi because her love for her people and her culture and tradition. I learned a lot from her. Like I told you, one of the reasons why I also came back to Haflong was when I talked with her. Her vision of working with the local artisans and weavers and with the culture, you know, and to put our culture on a bigger map and scale is what really motivated me too. And today also I see, you're talking about food, right? Ruhi, with her food blogging, she has done really well and she has become really popular. And also, it has led to her generating income through brand deals and all that, you know. And right now, she's also getting a lot of brand deals, but she has sacrificed a lot. If right now, if she focuses only on her career, she can just keep on making recipe videos and her thali videos. But she has sacrificed, she has taken a break. She knows that it will, in today's world where everyone is just worried about followers and follower count and view count and all, she has deliberately let her follower count and view count come at a standstill because she is focusing all her time being with me in the grassroots. And this is not a sacrifice for me. She actually wants to do it for the people and for the land and to contribute to that. And so we also had to sacrifice, like your question, we have to sacrifice on some of her food recipes because lately she has not been able to cook as regularly. So but we have wonderful help at home and they have all mastered Ruhi's recipes too. So the food quality has not changed a lot, but yeah, Ruhi has not been cooking so much lately, and that is why she has also not been making her regular thali videos. But when we go to the villages, we meet amazing people and we have been cooking with them. Sometimes they have been feeding us, and then we get to taste new recipes. Very simple, very homely, but very soulful. And more than me, this is what Ruhi absolutely loves. And so she's having a good time, and so we are also always together, and we are having not just little moments but lots of
Beautiful
moments
moments.
of making beautiful memories which will always will stay with us.
Wonderful. Okay, Daniel, this is fantastic chatting with you about a lot of stuff. Talking about compromises, sacrifices, rather. There has been. I see that there has been sacrifice on both sides. An engineering student uh, turned musician, turned a politician now with a larger vision, trying to do something for the place, community, and content creator trying to be with you, walking along the same path, helping you in every step. I wish you both all the very best, and it has been a great experience talking with you about all the things that we spoke today. And thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you,
Thank
thank you
you
so
so
much,
much.
Nishal. Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.